now the true test. If the internet will last long enough, that we can have a chatty coffee date. Although mine is hot cocoa. It is not coffee. It is cocoa.
Well, we're a little later in the day, so
yeah,
that makes sense.
Yeah. And I will share that, see, it's the Noritake Temptation set. I don't know if you can see, it's very, very light, but I loved that. And it's very dainty. And it is from 1976. And I found a complete dinnerware set for like an insane deal. I paid like less than $1 a piece at the thrift store, obviously. And I got 6 cups and saucers and the dessert plate, right? All the things. And I was so proud of this at Thanksgiving. This was part of my spread that I had for just us. We just had like a simple whatever. And I pull everything out and I'm talking about how happy I am and how thankful I am that it's the Noritake brand because they're so hearty and they, you know, this, I don't know why. Our house was built in 77 and I just like the feeling of the features of our home, like with our furniture. Like I love when I find like mid-century furniture in the thrift store. I just feel like it, like this is when the home was built. This is the type of stuff. It doesn't matter. I know none of this matters, but I like doing those things. And so the fact that I found a set that was from 76, the house was built in 77, like that was like a big deal to me. I was very excited. And I'm telling my household about this over Thanksgiving because obviously that's what everybody else cares about. And I'm talking about how wonderful it is that the stuff is so hearty. Like within seconds after this, my brother with his like butter knife, that like gold knife set that I got, he goes to cut his ham and we genuinely have he's sitting right next to me. Like I see this happen. I have no idea what he does, but he somehow like smacks the knife down onto the plate. Like it slipped out of his hand. It just like, I don't know what. He cracked his dinner plate from the outside all the way through to like the side over here.
So your brother is so strong that with a butter knife, he sawed through your practically invincible plate.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I was like, you understand that this plate has been around since 1976. It's gone through who knows how many dinners and events and people. And my first time pulling this all out, I made this beautiful table spread for you all. You shattered it. You cracked it in half. And he felt so bad. And I was like, it's okay. I'll just buy myself a replacement and you'll pay for it.
Your brother actually would pay for it though. Like no problem.
He would. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. But it was just the like, but anyways, that was my fun story about my thrift store china set that now is down a plate. So, Chatty Coffee Day. Welcome, everybody, for coming and hanging out with us. We love doing these. I will just say for anybody who's new and hanging out with us, we usually join us. I know Sabrina has some coffee over there. I've got some cocoa. Well, I'm almost to the bottom of it, so you can't see very well, but I've got some cocoa. And we love taking the time here with this to go through and any time on any video ever, if you guys have a question and you leave us the little coffee cup emoji, it signals Sabrina that you want to see your question answered here on one of our Chatty Coffee Dates. They come out every single Saturday. And I will say, because it is coming up, it's next Saturday is our members only live Chatty Coffee Date. And so we've been doing the lives each Wednesday with having just a prayer gathering. Those are just public here on YouTube. I love doing that with you guys. We've had such a great time. So every Wednesday at 11 Eastern Standard Time, we're doing a prayer gathering. But the first Saturday of every month, we do one of these Chatty Coffee Dates, but we do it live in our members group. And so that's when you guys click the little blue join button. You can come and sign up. You make a donation to the ministry, you sign up, you get access to the live Chatty Coffee Date. So we can kind of like chit chat through your questions and things all together. I think it's so much fun. And of course, there's loads of other things we have in our members group if you guys want to come and join us for some of that stuff. But very excited to have that on our calendar, our live coming up here soon. And we like doing these, but I think it's always fun when you're a person who's asking the question to be able to like be there while it's answered. So you can, you know, those like things you're always like, ooh, but what about this? Or how about this? Or whatever, like to get to be a part of the conversation. I think that's really nice. I love doing lives.
I think sometimes no matter how well you phrase a question or how thoughtful your answer is, sometimes there is a disconnect between the question and the answer. Maybe they were asking it in this avenue and you answered it in this avenue. And when you do it live, you can say, oh, wait, but actually, what about this other thing over here? And then what about this specificness? And then they get to like, I kind of think of it like a choose your own adventure book. I'm really showing age.
Yes.
But like, and then you get there and you're like, oh, what do you do now? Oh, what do you do now? Oh, that's what it is. Sorry.
And it's just fun to get to hang out. Come on now. It's just fun. So you guys are all welcome to come and join us for that. Of course, next week, we have some really fun stuff that we're working on and planning for I was laying it all out on my calendar, but we are in the final countdown of this 365 video palooza that I've been doing this year. So it's crazy, like being in those like final countdowns of a video out each and every day. So I'm excited. We got some fun stuff. I did post, you guys can go onto our channel or we'll link it down below or whatever. But our 6th YouTube anniversary is coming up on December 12th. And we're doing a special video sharing some stuff with you guys. And so I did it as I use the YouTube Premiere function. So you can go to it and like click to be notified. And so the 12th at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, that will premiere. So we can like all get on and watch it with you guys. We can kind of chit chat back and forth as we watch it. So kind of like a live, which I'm really, I of course didn't put my computer on silent. I put everything else on silent but this. But I was really excited to use that premiere feature. So like we can all get on and I don't know, I think it's crazy that we've been doing this for nearly now 6 years, but very, very excited to do that stuff.
You've been doing this a long time.
A little bit, yeah.
Just a little bit. Also, I'm surprised that only that one thing might have had its notifications on, because with every problem we've run into, all of the things have had to alter each time. And then we're like, oh, wait, no, this one. Oh, let's try that. Had a lot of problems this morning.
The fact that we're getting this video out is kind of a miracle in and of itself, because technology is everything's kind of against us just right now, but that's okay. So do we have any questions today? What are we chatting about over our coffee hot cocoa date?
We're going to talk about your son first.
Fantastic.
Right? I love talking about your son.
I do too. And I think it's fun because y'all, seriously, you leave these comments and I see coffee cups when I go through comments and like I see things, but I never know which comments she's going to pull to do these. And so that's what I think makes it fun, because I genuinely am like, okay, what questions are we doing? What is it?
I'm not the only person who runs through your comment section. And so as I do it, I just have a master list and then I kind of organize them in a way.
Got like a system method to the madness.
Sometimes I'm really super on it and you guys will have like a themed week, and other times I am struggling so hard and you get questions thrown together. But like Heidi sees the questions in the comments and then time happens and she has no idea what I'm going to throw at her at any time.
It's my favorite though. I like it.
So we're going to talk about your son first.
Okay. Shoot.
Somebody would love to know, is your son involved in helping you set up things like your cameras or maybe editing your videos? If not, perhaps I would help lighten your load. But are your children, specifically your oldest, because he happens to be 18 and of an age where he is considerably more help because you have less training to do. You've kind of put in all that training time. So like you don't have to help as much with him. So specifically him. But do you have any help from your children with your YouTube world stuff?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. I know we had seriously considered I'd seriously considered teaching him how to edit videos. We need to actually back up all of the church sermons. And it's one of those that our kids, the associate pastors, his oldest kid, your kids, like I've been like, how many kids' devices could we get going at the same time to try to like get through these? So I have considered it. The thing that kind of always hung me up on getting him to edit is just the learning curve process to get to the point that like it would be at my expectation level, which I mean, that just is what it is. But for me, I film very specifically to make my editing process actually very small. My editing process is one of the smaller like pieces because when you guys look, like I don't do fancy stuff. I don't add a bunch of things. Like sometimes you don't even get nothing. Like my editing process. I remember watching Casey Neistat once talk about how he was so proud of this number that he got it down to for every minute of video, it was an hour of editing. And I about spit my drink out because I'm like, you're nuts if you think I'm spending 1 hour per minute. Now, my videos are never going to look like Casey Neistat's. I understand that, but I'm also never going to give away that many hours of my life to editing. So like, that's just not going to happen. But being a busy mom, doing all this for nearly 6 years now, I started figuring out when I was figuring out how to do this whole thing, how I could minimize my editing time. Because at the time when we started this, I had a newborn. I was homeschooling 3 other kids. We got the farm, we got all the things. I still had a business at the time that we started this, now ministry full time. And so I started finding ways that I could minimize my amount of editing substantially. And so my editing time specifically is really small. I usually will take 15 minutes before I hop in the shower in the evening, slam a video together. If it's ones where I have a bunch of sponsor deals or there's a lot of extra clips or overlays or things like that, it might take a little bit longer. But if you'll notice, I also you don't see a ton of those videos come out. Those are kind of hit or miss. I only will do 1 or 2 a week, of that, because I know they're going to take me a little more time. So I really don't have much that the kids do as far as like the literal YouTube things. We also, I'm actually, the kids are going to do one video with me here coming up soon. But if you notice, you don't even see my kids the videos that much anymore. They used to be like I was going through our first vlog doing our anniversary thing and like looking at what our videos used to be. And, part of that was just as they got older, first we started to see it with our son where he was like, I don't want to have to be on camera as much. And then our other, our oldest daughter, Lily, now she just turned 13 and she kind of feels the same way where she's like, I don't want to have to, and we respect that of our kids of, how, Olivia would be jumping all over the place the entire time. She has literally been on YouTube since she was born. She knows nothing different. She sits on her tablet all the time and makes YouTube videos. They're not actual YouTube videos. It's just her recording stuff that we watch. But she vlogs her whole life all the time. And, I think that there's a lot that they do to help set me up for success. We have very specific rhythms of our home of what we do because this is what we do. So that we have that they do a great job keeping up with. So that way, when it's time for me to record or time for me to do something, like our household just kind of knows the drill. We just kind of have a system in place that this is how we do that. But they don't really do any of like there's not jobs for YouTube that they do. And I don't know, for me, I feel like that's not really in this season that like I want to pursue. Like I get like finding help is great and different things, but as far as like it becoming one of the kids' responsibilities, I don't know. I think I'm happy. I'm happy with our balance in the areas that we're having struggles. Um, we're looking into some different avenues to get some help. And I think there's plenty of things for the kids to do to chip in, but necessarily picking up some of these jobs. It just, I don't know, at least right now, it just doesn't seem like the best fit for us, but I'm going to let you in. It was just like, nope.
I know you finished your sentence, but it's not catching up, and I am so sorry. Oh, there you are. Wait, it's you. Okay.
I'm here now. Telling y'all.
So, when I've been in your house, I've seen your setups. Do you have an elaborate setup with your cameras? What is your camera?
My camera is my cell phone, which actually I don't think you can tell it, but I just replaced my protector for my camera.
It was broken.
It broke again shortly after replacing it. And it's actually broken on the camera lens that I actually use. So if you notice, I always have this lately I have this light effect coming through. It's because this is broken and desperately needs to be replaced. And I haven't replaced it yet. So yeah, my elaborate setup is my phone. And I have set spots where you guys see me record all the time. And I have like the suction cup on the glass in your car, like phone holder. Like I have phone holders just set up, finish everything up. I've got a kid going to co-op class. I've got a free minute. I can just throw my phone up there and be like, hey guys, I just shout through the house, hey guys, I'm recording real quick. And then everybody just knows the drill and we go into recording mode and boom, bam. And then I go, okay, done. And everybody resumes back to what they were doing. So yeah, my elaborate setup is phone holders randomly placed in very specific spots throughout the house that are my go-to recording spots.
So there's not a whole lot in that manner for anybody in your house to actually help with. It's your cell phone stuck into an already pre-set up holder. So you took away those stressful areas and you just automated them. I do it this way. I do it this way. I do it this way.
Mm-hmm.
It's lovely to have help from your children. And if they came up to you and were like, hey, I'm going to help you with this thing. And they were like, I want to get into this. Would you like me to help you with experimental stuff? Can you teach me some of it? That would be very different. Because even
our son,
we're
delayed.
This is so bad. Okay, so even your son, who would be helping, it would be the same thing as when you started YouTube and you had all of your experimental stuff, because you were not, it wasn't a thing for you yet. You were still experimenting and learning it. It was a hobby, not any kind of income or business or anything substantial. It was I'm so sorry. Please do not hear this as an insult. You were just a mom throwing up YouTube videos hey, does this work? Oh, wait, I don't love that. Does this work? Oh, I don't love that, because it's a hobby and that's different.
Yep.
So if your son came to you and asked, hey, let me learn this hobby because I want to learn how to make it into a business, you'd teach it to him.
When we used to hike every week, he was like, I think I want to play with video. And so a ton of that footage you guys saw was all him. I gave him one of my setups and he tried different shots. He played with different things. A lot of that footage was him. And I told him, I said, man, if any of y'all want to get into being my B-roll people, I will take your footage all day long. Your son wants a drone. So I'm like, get out here. I will get you a drone. You are in charge of drone footage. Yes, sir. I will get one. You figure out how to use it. I mean, same thing. So there's kind of those open-ended things that if somebody's interested and they want to, absolutely go for it. That's fantastic. our son is trying to finish up writing his first book, like full book. He has the introduction that's out on Kindle, but he's finishing up the first one so we can get it to publication by the beginning of the year. That's where he's been. Like, that's his focus. And I'm like, go for it, buddy. That's all you. You ever want to get back to trying to figure out how to do B-roll? You know where I'm at.
I love that balance. If they're into it, you're yay, but you're not putting that responsibility on them because you try to automate all of those responsibilities as much as you can.
Mm-hmm. Our 13-year-old loves editing. Her editing style is very different, very different. It's fantastic. She does a great job, but it's not on brand, which I hate to say, but like, if I were to go, like, I don't need the help so badly that I'm willing to change that part of it. Like, that wouldn't be the logical conclusion to that. But the task isn't that difficult for me because of the way I shoot and the way I do things, because it was the way I had to figure it out to do all this for the past 6 years, to like warrant the expense of going and like getting an editor. I know that's the thing. I see so many people and they're like, oh, as soon as you start growing, outsource your editing, right? That's the first thing everybody does. And I'm like, you want me to spend that much money, which, okay, editors get their money. That's great. But my cuts, like my things are so straightforward. Sure. Could somebody do it better? I'm sure that I could give my footage to someone and they could make it far better than what I do. I'm sure of it because I do a very minimal amount. So I'm sure they can do really cool things. My daughter loves editing. It is not my style. It is not what I'm looking for. And I don't think that putting that sort of strain on our mother-daughter relationship over this is worth it.
I love that. Love it.
Mm-hmm.
Today's Black Friday.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
We had to record differently. Things happened. Today's Black Friday, though.
Mm-hmm.
So I chose a question specifically for today.
Okay.
Okay? You ready for this one? Will you do a chatty, coffee, or a specific video on being wise with spending? I am the problem. I know that I am.
That right is knowing.
That's why I chose this one because they were so straightforward with, look, I actually know that I'm the problem with this, but at the same time, the question goes on. I know I'm the problem. I know I am. At the same time, there are other factors, but I need help controlling the things that I can. So they acknowledge the fact that they're to blame, at fault. The buck stops there. They acknowledge that. They acknowledge the fact that there are probably circumstantial/environmental things that vary. But do you have any advice or tips on how to be wise with your spending? How did you become I'm gonna paraphrase this. How do you become minimalist with your spending or with your mindset about spending is kind of how I was considering this.
Mm-hmm. I think that's a great question. I know it kind of just so happened, because I honestly didn't even think about it being Black Friday because we don't do Black Friday stuff. But I needed to do a video to fulfill some sponsor obligations, which again, I think my son actually talked about this and he was like, Mom, you should make more videos about like how to balance being a YouTuber with being a Christian. Like how do you balance those things? Because taking sponsor deals like allows us to pay bills, allows us to like take care of things, like and do the things that we need to do. There's nothing wrong with having a sponsor, but like I never want to not be authentic. Like I think that's really, really important. And so I was looking at these different things and I'm like, okay, I've been very upfront with all of our sponsors and told them, well, I'm not going to do a Christmas promotion because we don't celebrate Christmas. If other people want to celebrate Christmas, that's great. But like, that's not an authentic conversation to come from me. And so I'm not going to take it as such. I personally, though, love this time of year because I'm able to get some of the things that I've needed to get at a really good deal because everybody else is doing Christmas shopping. And so these things are on sale. You bet your bottom dollar, I'm going to take advantage of that. If that can save, to take care of something that we need to do while it's on sale. And so I know I repeated at least a few times in my video of like, hey, let me just say though, I'm not telling you to just go buy things, right? So that's why sponsors kind of get bummed at me because sponsors want me to like super promote their stuff. And I'm like, no. I'm always going to say, don't go needlessly spend money. But if you could use this and this could be a blessing, then like, here, let me give you, whatever the deal is. Because, and I say that, to kind of bring in here, I'm not a person who likes to go shopping. So like my husband is, and he is that guy. I usually found out on the bench with the old men and have like fallen asleep. Okay. That's the difference. I like going out and like doing things, but like if you want me, I'm a TJ Maxx at most, if not thrift store. You're not going to see me spend more than a few bucks on an article of clothing. I will wear the same things out until literally the seams come apart and I cannot wear it any longer. Like that's what I like to do. But I found over the past 10-ish years that I'm an internet shopper. I don't like, so I'm just going to speak for this. I don't really like social media. I'm not like a huge social media, like read all the gossip, get into all of the things. But I will scroll and shop like there's no tomorrow. It used to be, I think it really started with our wedding business that we had because I would constantly be hunting things for clients. So how to find the right bases, how to find the right candles, how to find the right, there's all these little things that you're always, it was my job literally to find all of these things. And so when you're a busy mom, homeschool mom, you own a business, you're doing all this stuff, I would get on my phone in my free time, not free time, but you know what I mean? Like in between doing stuff. And I would constantly be scrolling to hunt down, for each event.
Okay. Yes, I can totally see you. Yes.
If you can. So anyways, for events, I would have to do this. And so I'd find myself just like scrolling, trying to find all of the things. And then, I would find things for the house or find things for whatever, right? You just come across things. And I noticed that when we started to step away from business and so our income kind of went away, that was a problem I had because I would just shop. I would just buy things. And so for me, I did realize that I was the problem, right? I would just, well, it's easier. I'm busy, whatever. And I would just buy all the stuff. And I think that's for me why minimalism was such a big season in my life because I needed to address that heart issue. It was a heart issue. I just kept buying. I wasn't being a good steward. I was just consuming. Even though I thought I had a good reason sometimes, I still was just consuming. And so I started doing things like completely removing apps off of my phone. So it meant that if I wanted Amazon or I needed to order something for a wedding, I literally had to go into my office, turn on the computer, sit at the computer, pull up the website. You know what I mean? Like I had to go do something more than just scroll on my phone and add stuff to my cart. I took those things off. We got rid of Amazon Prime. I'm just trying to think like things we did, right? That I just like took off so I didn't have them. I didn't save my card information to stuff, right? So again, it was one of those, like if I really wanted to buy something, I got to go find my purse. I got to go pull my wallet out. You know what I mean? Like I had to do additional steps and those little deterrents did help to be like, ooh, it's not just so quick to just click. But then I feel like it really, that's where digging into scripture and really going to prayer with these things for me, I was like, what are we doing? Like, I don't know what tomorrow holds. Why do I have so much stuff? Why, like, this is the best way to use the resources that the Lord has given to us. I started getting just huge into purging everything. If it wasn't an absolute necessity, it's gone. Let it go be a blessing to someone else. We don't need this. And I think that, we've come to a balance in things. And now I try to be really good with, we found usually seasonally, we'll kind of sit down and be like, okay, what are some projects that need to be tackled? Things that need to be fixed. I just showed you, I actually just got today a new comforter. We've really needed a new comforter for our bed. And I found one king size for $30, guys. I'm so excited about this. I was just telling you, I'm like, it was $30 for a king size comforter set. Like, this is amazing. So I did, like, I literally just got a new thing today but I'm able to sit down and go, okay, this month, here's our budget. What are our projects? What are the things that need to be tackled and taken care of? I'll sit down and do this. I now do have like the Amazon and Walmart, because that's where we get our groceries. I have the apps on my phone because I've now dealt with my heart issue enough that I'm disciplined enough to not just sit there and just aimlessly buy. And I run out of money, but I can't just sit there and buy all of the stuff. So I think doing things like removing the apps, really digging into scripture at what it means to be storing up our treasure here on this earth, which is crazy because I figured out the other day, I know what we're doing for the collective in December. And I'm really, really excited because we're going to spend the month of December in our membership group here talking about heavenly minded contentment. And I am like so stoked for this. I've already got the whole study booklet like written out. I'm like really, really excited to get into this. We're finishing First John, and First John has been fantastic, but I'm so excited now to get into this contentment study. And I think that that's it. It's because if we don't address the heart of the issue, we don't address the root, whether it's, fear of missing out, a fear of not having enough, it's a contentment issue, it's a jealousy issue, you're trying to build so, whatever it is. I feel like if we never address the heart issue, you don't get down to that root. It's not going to matter how many apps you take off your phone. It's not going to matter if you cut up your credit card. It's not going to matter if you keep making budgets, but you don't stick to them. And I think another thing that really helped me is we did a whole year. For me, I thought the whole like no spend November thing, I'm like, really? Because like there's a bunch of us here and we don't ever have a big budget. So I can't like just not get things we need, and I can't get them ahead of time. For us, it just didn't work. But we spent a whole year where I said, before I buy anything from a big box retailer, including Amazon, we're going to go to a thrift store. And so we made it our goal to only buy from a thrift store for an entire year. And what I really found was impressive in that, number one, I really fell in love with shopping at thrift stores, and we still to this day, like you could give me $5 million and we would still go to the thrift store for everything we need. We love it so much. But the time it took to keep looking, if we're like, ooh, our toaster broke, we need a toaster. Well, let's go to the thrift store. They didn't have a toaster. Well, we'll try again later this week, right? Like the time it took to get there, we were like, oh, I mean, you know what I mean? You start to like realize there's some things that I would have been so quick to just hop on my phone and just click, order, that after we looked in the thrift store for a while, we were like, oh, maybe I don't need that, or I got such a great deal, look how much we saved, or, whatever. That again, it was just another one of those like having time to have to think about a purchase. I know a lot of people say that if you put something in a cart, don't actually purchase for like 48 hours. And if you still need it 48 hours from then, like go back, and decide. Even things that I'll click my like save for later that I'm like, ooh, we could really use that. Once we get money, I'll come buy it. And then I go through it later on and I'm like, we don't need that. Why did I save that? That's stupid. Like, why would we do that? And I get rid of it. So I think there's, definitely tips and tricks and things like that to help. But more importantly is to figure out the hard issue, because if you never figure out that part, you're not really accomplishing much. You might save a few bucks, but you're not going to accomplish the issue.
You made shopping really, really inconvenient.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it was just an inconvenient thing, because it used to be this really super convenient thing. And internet window shopping is still window shopping, except for the fact that you now have everything in front of you. You were window shopping the world wide web.
Mm-hmm.
And you're going to find what you're looking for. It's going to happen.
It's so dangerous.
So the steps you took were you made shopping practical steps first. You made shopping really inconvenient. You had to specifically go to your computer. You specifically had to go to do the thing. You had to go do the thing. It's like when you go into a store and you're like, yeah, if I'm not going to buy anything, I'm going to actually leave my wallet tucked under my seat or whatever. And then you get into the store and you're like, man, I really want to buy this, blah, blah, blah. And you go, oh, but I have to walk all the way out to my car. And then you don't buy it because of the inconvenience. So you like put this in factor.
There are things in Walmart now that I will only get if it's in a pickup order because, okay, out in California, I noticed when we were out there visiting, it's like this in the whole store. I could not get over it. Out here in our little town, it's only like this for like a couple items, but like say I need the flea meds for the cats. I will only do those on pickup so I don't have to go find someone to come and open the thing to do it because I'm like the inconvenience even, I mean, we actually need the flea meds. Like I'm going to put it on the Walmart order, but the inconvenience to stand there, like when we were visiting California, we stopped shopping. Like I wouldn't even go into Target because, I wouldn't go into Walmart. We only went into Target, I think it was. I wouldn't go into Walmart because everything was behind a wall. And I was like, what? No.
It was absolutely Walmart. I have sent you pictures of our aisles and I'm like, wait, are you serious? This was before we traveled out there. Mm-hmm. And I had to buy cold medicine for one of my children. And I was like, I always do online shopping because I actually have problems shopping and having somebody deliver it. Yes. Mm-hmm. It's a medical thing, but I love having people drop off my groceries and my orders. Mm-hmm. So I didn't know this was a thing. And I went in there and, we'll just stop by real quick and we'll grab the thing and, we'll do this. No, not children medication. Beside of it, if we wanted to buy, we have 16-year-olds at the time. We wanted to buy adult like cold medicine or like an aspirin or something. It was behind glass. Cold medicine, aspirin, Alleviers, pain relievers, all behind glass. And then when you got somebody, what you actually had to do was they would put it into the little perfume containers that are like locked.
Oh.
So then you could walk around with that in your cart.
But then you still have to get that undone when you like went to check out.
And you went to check out because you couldn't go through like self-checkout, or you could go through a self-checkout, but they had to like do something with it. And we were like, oh, this is so inconvenient. It's awful. It's awful. California has almost made it like an inconvenience to go shopping anywhere. But that's our specialty. Inconvenience. California.
The land of inconvenience. It is, but yes, all of that. Where step one, maybe make it an inconvenience and you'll never buy cough syrup at Walmart ever again.
But if you make shopping an inconvenience, mm-hmm. you stop, because then you will stop shopping the World Wide Web. Mm-hmm. Then while you have that extra time that you used to do that window shopping, you start addressing your heart issue and you figure out why that was such an impulse for you. So you already took care of a very practical thing, stopping spending because it's inconvenient. Now you have stopped spending because now it's inconvenient. And every time it's inconvenient, you go, oh, this is inconvenient. And you go, oh, I need to check myself. Why am I so worked up over this? Why am I so blah, blah, blah? You have like a heart check every time and you get to work on it every time. So it's like a mindset shift every time.
So like when you had that, this is inconvenient getting cough syrup, you went, well, I really need this. My child is sick. Like I need to get this, right? Like this is the thing, versus seeing something that you just wanted to get or whatever. And then in that moment, right, that reminder moment of inconvenience where you go, is this the best way to steward the resource the Lord has entrusted to me right now? Like this is the best use of this. And the more you do that and you ask yourself that, you dig into that heart layer where you go, no, I don't need this. nothing wrong with enjoying stuff, nothing wrong with, I mean, there's nothing wrong. It's not the stuff, right? It's not money that's the love of money is the root of all evil. The love of the stuff, the storing, whatever. And so you stop and you ask those and you go, don't think so, right? Like, I did not have to have these plates. Didn't have to have them. It was a special something that we said, hey, we'd like to have some lovely plates. We have our Dollar Tree plates, but if I could find a good deal on a set, we would like to have these. I went in, just so happened to find a complete set for a phenomenal deal. And our buddies were like, because we go to the thrift store all the time, they're like, yeah, sure, let me box them up, do, whatever. It's a cool deal, right? Like, so it was the thing. But when you work on pausing and asking that question, you get used to tapping into that, ooh, do I have a heart issue here? Am I good here? When we first moved into this house, our house is old. Our house has been a neglected rental for far too long. It has a world of issues. When we moved here, our walls were brown, literally painted brown. I knew that I had so many heart issues when it came to the look of our home that I intentionally did nothing for years. And we lived in this kind of yucky, it was clean, but like it never looked good. but we lived as is for years because I said very publicly to my family, I have a heart issue that I need to address here. So if it means you say, hey, I'm not buying anything from a big box store. I'm not doing any of this stuff. Like, I have a heart issue I need to address. And then that allows you that time, to work through that until you come to a space where you feel like, okay, I can have the Amazon app on my phone now. And I'm not just going to sit here and waste oodles and oodles of dollars because, well, I don't have oodles and oodles of dollars to waste. And that's not where I'm going to put my resources. Like that's not what I'm going to pour into anymore because I've addressed the heart issue. So now when I think back to how I used to get stuff, I hit a message that had come through on my phone. And as I was holding my phone talking, I hit the little microphone button and it was voice typing what I said. I'm going to set this over here. Anyways, yeah, that's my answer.
I think it's really important to remind yourself that resources are not just money. Mm-hmm. This is like the last caveat here. Resources are not just money. You're using a lot of time and investing a lot of your time in this as well.
Yep.
And what could that time be spent on differently? Because it's still you're just spending time, you're spending energy, you're spending effort. So is it worth it? In all the ways, is it worth it?
Mm-hmm. And I think of the upkeep, the storage, right? Like whatever this item is, where am I going to put it? Are we going to use it? Is it just going to be a pain in my rear later on the road? Is this just going to get broken? Is this just going to be like one of those things that a year from now I'm getting ready to drop off at the thrift store? Because if that's the case, probably don't need to get it.
Agreed. We have another question, but this question was left specifically on a Halloween video.
Okay.
However, I think that the topic applies to everything, so I chose it.
Okay.
It just specifically mentions something. So
Fair.
wide topic specifically on a video. Okay. How do you strengthen a relationship with your husband if you have nothing in common? When he would rather watch violent or horror movies 12 hours a day when it's his day off. See, that's the Halloween part. I saw the direct connection and I went, there's a direct connection here. However, this is a bigger topic about lots of deeper things. So,
yeah.
How do you strengthen a relationship with a husband when you have nothing in common?
I think that's hard. And I know even in our marriage, we've definitely gone through areas of that where it's like you're on two different planes. You know what I mean? You're just like in two different levels here. And I think that it's difficult because it's not just him that needs to fix something. It's both of you that need to fix something. And it's never just one. And sometimes that means that you're going to carry a really heavy load by yourself for a while. And, my brother actually asked me last night, we were talking about it, and he said, he asked me what some tips or tricks would be to get a YouTube channel going and like making an income and doing stuff, right? And so I said, well, my best advice is be ready to work it like it's your full-time job for an indefinite amount of years with nothing in return. Like if you're not willing to do that, to work it like a full-time job for an indefinite amount of time with nothing back in return, if you're not willing to do that, you're probably not going to succeed. Because it's kind of just a shoot, right? Like some people blow up out of nowhere. Other people, don't, and they're like me, and they're just kind of like chugging along for forever and ever and ever and ever and ever. And I think it's sometimes that way with marriage because sometimes it feels that way. And you have to be ready and willing to carry that load and be the only one putting in effort and the only one being diligent and the only one, you know what I mean? Like you have to be willing to be that one for an indefinite amount of time, get no reward, no feedback, and still be okay and still be lovingly and joyfully continuing on. That's difficult. That is a tall order. Some of us are a little more gracious than others. I am a not gracious one. Like I have to purposefully work hard because I know that me left in my just Heidi sin nature will not be very gracious. I am a very take charge, in your face, like steamroll person. Me left to me, I am that. So I have to know my faults and be very diligent to say, okay, let's not do that. How can I right? I'm going to carry this load for an indefinite amount of time and get nothing back. You have to be willing to do that. And that's a huge like humility point. But if you can't change him, you can only do you. So you have to be willing to do that by yourself. Like you have to be willing to commit to that and to trust the Lord to guide you in that. And then I think it's finding the littlest of things. Y'all got married for some reason. Now, I don't know what it was. And sometimes we have to remind ourselves of that. Like, I'm sure like our husbands have probably thought it. I'm sure we've thought it. We're like, good gracious, why on earth did we get married? Right? Like sometimes you have to stop and you have to think about those reasons, but we all got married for some reason. So maybe it takes thinking back to what some of those reasons were. Maybe it takes going and joining him. I'm not saying join him in sinful things, but maybe you go join him in things that you don't care about. Guess what? I watched more baseball last year than even my husband did because he would fall asleep and I would stay up and watch the whole game and like give him the whole recap. Now, I can't tell you anybody's names because I give them nicknames. And so I would have to explain to him through my nicknames. But I'm like, Kylo Ren took the thing and he's like, so he had to kind of filter through who I'm like, I know who I'm thinking, right? I don't care about baseball. I don't mind baseball. I mean, it's fine. It's just, I don't care. But I invested in that because it mattered to my husband. Because he's a Southern California kid and he bleeds Dodger blue. So he cares, right? I like racing. I grew up in racing. I love being at a racetrack. There's nothing more that I love than being at a racetrack and smelling the fumes and like being in the pit. Like I love that. I enjoy that. I don't necessarily care about certain levels of things or people or, whatever, like that's not, but I know which ones my husband does. And so guess what? I will be Team Hendrick until the day I die. Like I will, like there's certain things that I'm like, that's our thing. That's where we are. Right. And it's because it matters. And guess what? Sometimes I feel like I'm carrying that load by myself. but not all the times. Because my husband will do the same. And maybe he didn't do the same at the beginning, but I promise you, he does the same now. Because that's what marriage is. And as I have to be willing to do it totally by myself sometimes with nothing back in return, well, sometimes it's my husband pouring in and I'm the one who's not carrying my load, right? Like it happens and it balances. But I think you have to be willing to do that. Number one, you got married for some reason. Start seeking and finding those little things. And yeah, it means sometimes it's not the stuff that you're interested in the slightest, but start prompting little things and fostering that. Hey, hon, let's go for a walk. Hey, let's do dinner, just the two of us. Hey, maybe after everybody's gone to bed at the end of the night, you sit down and, hey, I got us an ice cream. You want to have a bowl of ice cream with me? And we'll find something to watch. I don't know, whatever, right? Like you start finding those little tidbits and little things and rekindling that. I think you think of it, date your spouse, right? When you first met, you're first getting to know each other and first starting to kind of figure one another out and do that. I think oftentimes I've been married for nearly 20 years. Brandon and I have been a couple since I was 14 years old. Okay. Like I don't have this like wide dating selection to pull from, but I think back to those things. And sometimes we do that where we're like, wow, we need to date each other more in the way of, do I get dressed up when I see you? Do I do these special little things that I know you enjoy and I know you like that maybe I just don't do anymore, right? Because it's like, we're good, but you do those little things and find ways to impress him and, to just do those little things and kind of kindle those different little bits between one another. And I think that, again, as long as you're willing to carry a really heavy load for an indefinite amount of time with nothing back in return, and you're just going to joyfully, lovingly pour into that, you're going to see some major work done on your heart, but you're going to start to see fruit. And I think that's important to remember.
Okay. So I'm going to say something and it's going to sound like really, really terrible, but I don't know how else to say it. And I guess I'm going to
been warned.
Y'all have been warned. You've been warned. Mm-hmm. So when you choose a spouse and you get married, because that's what we're talking about, a spouse and being married, not a boyfriend, a spouse. It means that you've taken certain vows. And in those vows, there's a section that talks about for better or worse. Now comes the controversial part. Well, I guess it's not controversial. It's just the work. Like I think of the worst, most awful things and like, oh, golly. So I'm just going to say it. I'm just going to say it. Okay. What if he turns into a potato? Would you love a potato? Like you said for better or worse. What if he turns into a potato and like you literally have to love a vegetable? And I'm so sorry. It sounds awful, but like that is what we signed up for when we got married. We signed on.
Better would be my husband like winning the lottery and being a billionaire. Worse would be he's turned into a potato.
Like the worst thing is that he is actually like comatose in a vegetable state in which I have to do everything physically for him, or like that would be a pretty worst case scenario as a relationship. If I were like, oh, where's your 50%? Like, oh my, we all go, oh, I would never do that. Like, ew. However, if you signed on to be married, you kind of signed on to do all of it, to love a potato. Like they're going to give nothing back and they might be a potato. And you have to do it all. And it feels like you're doing it all, but really they're doing stuff internally and like God's working on them and you don't know everything. And you have to love a potato. Okay. See, I was like, oh. It sounds so bad, but
That's like the best thing ever. But it's so true, right? And we have to be willing to do that. We have to be willing to be there, loving, supporting, encouraging, forgiving that potato. And there's always a deeper heart issue that's going on. But unfortunately, before we can address the other person's issue, which maybe the potato has plenty of issues. Okay? Can totally have. I can't turn him into a rutabaga, right? Like I can't do that. I can only deal with what's in here. And it means that I have to deal with what's in here. And I have to be willing to carry whatever it is that the Lord is putting before me, because I trust in the Lord's will, the Lord's way, his big picture. All right. So if it means I got to keep over here just loving on the little potato, then that's what I'm going to do, because God's got it. And I trust him. I don't trust the potato so much because he turned into a potato, but I trust the Lord. So here I am.
We wouldn't look at the potato and go, well, potato, I really need this from you right now. Why aren't you giving me what I need? Well, it's a potato. That's what the potato can give you. And you have to do the work. Mm-hmm. The potato can't do work at that moment. So you have to be the one who's doing the work and putting in the effort and doing the stuff, and just do it. You signed on for it. Just do it. Mm-hmm. I'm not talking, there's like a line. I'm not talking about abuse or anything like that, but like mm-hmm. I'm talking about like mm-hmm. this question is talking about difficulties with connections. Mm-hmm. My husband and I are complete opposites. Mm-hmm. Like we really are an opposites attract couple. There is nothing similar about us. Like really, truly, he's an action, go get him, dirt bike, rock climbing. Like he's just that dude.
And you take your knitting supplies to a UFC fight.
Yeah, I totally did that. I had to go to, he worked with a cage fighter, and I went to one of their matches to support a coworker. And yeah, I totally brought knitting to a UFC fight.
That's like my favorite story.
Because that's who I am.
Yes, it is.
But he loves me and he supports that. And I love him, and I bring my knitting to sit beside of him. Because do you think that I've told him this dozens of times. Do you think I actually care about that cage fight? That is the weirdest thing to me. Like people actively wanting to hit each other is so weird. It's so weird. And like I told him this going into it. This is not my shtick. I'm not enjoying this. I am going because I love you and because you want somebody to sit beside of you. And like, I'll do that. I'll support you. I'll be that person. But like BT dubs, I'm going to bring my knitting, and I'm probably going to distract myself because like, I don't want to watch that, but like, I'll sit beside of you. I'll do the thing. I'll whatever. So it is, you just do it. So I'm going to recap your steps real quick. Carry the whole load. Love your potato. Oh, something's going to happen outside. I'm so sorry. Hold, please. Okay. I'm going to recap your things. Love your potato. Remember why you married the potato, because that's a big deal. If you can remember why you married your potato, it might spark the thing that made you love your potato. Because you haven't always felt like he was a potato. He hasn't always been a potato. And I know
broccoli one day, but like
I know I'm using potato in like worst case, like comatose vegetable state as like a horrible and I'm just throwing it around. And please use this analogy in the way that I'm thinking about it, because you have loved this guy. And if you have no control over anything and you have to love that potato, love your potato. You have to while you're remembering what was attracting you to your potato, what attracted you to your potato. Well, aren't you still attracted? Did those things change? Aren't you still attracted to those qualities or those things? If you remember it, it's easier to love your potato. Invest in what your potato likes, because the only way you can spend time with your potato is spending time with your potato. Do it whether you are liking the environment or not. I'm not talking sinful here. Levels, people, levels. We're talking about like normal things. There's nothing sinful about going to a cage match fight. It's gross and like I'm not into it, but like there's nothing actually sinful about it. Invest in your potato.
I will actually say that I think UFC is the most pro-true Christianity sport that's out there, because we're actually big UFC fans. So I remember we first talked about that and I was like, oh, are you serious? And you were like, huh. But I was like, dude, we would go to so many cage matches.
I'm not into seeing, like, as a lady, am I attracted to a masculine guy? Yes. Am I attracted to guys going at it? And nope, not my thing. But like, if it's your thing, that's fine. It's not sinful. Like, it's okay. But like, invest in it. Do the things, right? And then do the dates that you used to do with your spouse, that you used to go on because you used to do it. You got married and you got to that married position because you probably dated them first. And like, even if you had a really shorting dating period, you still dated them. So like, if you're going to date them again. The rest of my family just got home. So we have a lot going on in the room. We have your house was built in the 70s. My house was built in like 1956 and it's 900 square feet. So oh, we still have the brown walls too.
Yeah.
So like teeny tiny little house. Kids just got home. So sorry. But date your potato.
Kids.
Date your potato and remember why you started dating your potato. Go on the dates that you used to go on with your potato because you used to like your potato. Why not try to rekindle that like? And that addresses nothing about him. We've only addressed you because that's all you can address.
Exactly.
So sorry. I know that's probably not the answer you were seeking. But that is all that you can address. You can only address you. That's it.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it is so important, you know, and I think I love talking about marriage stuff. I love talking about, you know, these different things because it's like, no, the answer is you can only address you. But your faith and hope isn't in your husband. It's in God. And the only one that can truly change any of that is God. So if your husband was perfect, you wouldn't need a savior. Well, guess what? You married an imperfect husband and he married an imperfect wife. So 2 halves make the whole, right? Because none of us are doing it perfect. But yeah, I think these are great questions today. So hopefully when I edit this, the clarity is enough that y'all are at least hearing what we're saying because our internets are awful.
There might be some weird chops. There may be some weird. Both of our
So if you made it this far, high five, good job, because
good for you.
Good for you. I'm very proud of you. But I thank you all. I'm going to go get a fresh cup of hot cocoa because what is left in the very bottom of mine is very cold. And get back to all of the things we have going on. You guys, thank you so much. Thank you, Sabrina, for pulling these together for us. I cannot wait. Next week is live. So if you have not joined us in the membership group already, come and join us. You click that little blue join button. You can get access to these, but then you can also get access to our entire series catalog. We do stuff like we have a video that comes out every day here, but then we have videos that come out all the time over there as well. And you get access to our entire series catalog. So biblical womanhood, parenting, we've done end time, we've done all kinds of studies and stuff over there. And we're going to work on the topic of contentment all throughout December, which I thought was perfect timing of just the world and the year. And so I'm really, really excited to get into that as we wrap up our First John study here. But I also love that Sabrina has all these set up with class pages, and we have a private website. So when you join, you get access to everything. So like, even if you just now are joining, like you get all of it. So super excited. I'll see you guys all over there. See you all for the live and all the things that we have going on. Yeah, we'll link whatever else that we had down in the bottom, and excited to see where it all leads. So I know we're kind of later in the day. I got to get back to my family. Yours all just walked in the door. Thank you guys for hanging out with us. And we will see you all right back here, of course, each and every day. And then next week back with Sabrina. So see y'all later. Bye, friends.
Bye.